Canopus drums!
Hi, I am Shane with the Drum Center of Portsmouth in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We are on the web at drumcenternh.com. And today we are doing a Canopus drums showcase. Now, if you're familiar with us and have been part of our family for the past few years, you know that we are absolutely wild about these drums. What is it that sets them apart? I guess the best way I can describe it, it goes back about 20 years ago when I first played a Canopus snare drum, and it was the Maple. And I remember playing that snare drum and I just said, why does this snare drum sound better than any other Maple snare drum I've played? And playing that drum really brought that question to my awareness, and it got me interested in what the recipe is to make a great drum. And that is clearly something they do, is they really look hard at what they can do to improve the sound of a drum and or the performance. You know, a lot of it has to do with the brass lugs that they use, that brass being a resonating element. Less lugs on snare drums. Their snare wires, which, again, those are my favorite snare wires in the business. Second place is so far away. I mean, they're just wonderful snare wires. The Speedstar bearing, which the Speedstar bearing is a wonderful product. If you want to speed up your bass drum pedal, make it a faster feel, this little bearing is really, really great. The bolt tight washers, which I swear by, those things make life so much easier. And something I love, the hybrid hardware. And there's a lot of people out there that want lightweight hardware, but the flat bass stuff is not stable enough. And so they have this aluminum-based hybrid hardware, which is super sturdy and not too heavy. And those are just a few of the things that they do to make the experience better overall. Today we're focusing on some rock kits and some bop kits. So kit number one is going to be the RFM series. RFM standing for Reinforced Maple. So this is a straight maple shell with reinforcement hoops. The sizes are really cool on this kit, which has a 22-inch bass drum that is 15 inches deep, and the rack toms are 10 by 7 and 12 by 8, and the floor toms are 14 by 13 and 16 by 15. The snare drum that we're showcasing on this kit is actually a prototype Stave snare drum. So this snare drum is going to be on all of the rock kits that we are showcasing today. The cymbals that we are using on the rock kit today are a mix of Sabian HHX and AAX. Now the ride cymbal is an HHX groove ride. Crashes and the hats are all in the new AAX line. The details on those cymbals are in the description below. The Canopus Ash series is a very popular line for us because it has a tremendous attack and a great look and has a really attractive price point too. Now the Ash series is an ash and poplar shell blend, and it has some very, very soft undertones but a sharp attack while we're at it. So these are what I like to call addictive drums. They have a very addictive sound. People love the snap that comes back from these. And the bass drums are absolute cannons. So bass drum is 22 by 18, and we have a 10 by 7, 12 by 8, and a 16 by 15 floor tom. The Yaiba Groove Kit is a huge value. Now, for those of you that watched the best birch drum sets video that we put out last year, there was a overwhelming amount of feedback about how well the Yaiba kit performed against kits costing more than double. It was a very impressive showing. If you just want a professional level kit at a really attractive price point, these are just killer drums. So this is a 22 by 18, and we have a 10 and 12 rack tom that are 8 inches deep, and then a 16 by 16 floor tom. Now we are on to our Bop Kits, and we're going to start with the RFM kit, so reinforced maple. Now, something to note about all of our Bop Kits is that the snare drum we're going to use on these is the Zelkova snare drum. And this is a 14 by 6.5, and to me this is the real heartbeat of the Canopus drum company. It's the Zelkova snare drum, which is a carved out hollow log, which is just absolutely amazing. The cymbals that we're using on the Jazz Kids shootout are the Meinl Byzance Foundry Reserve cymbals. These are really, really awesome jazz cymbals. The details are in the description below. So, anyway, back to the drum sets. So RFM kit, this is 18 by 14 inch bass drum, 12 by 8 rack tom, and a 14 by 13 floor tom. Now we're going to do the Yaiba Bop Kit, which is a maple shell, which is a straight wall shell without reinforcement hoops. So you'll be able to hear the differences between this and the RFM. Now the big differences between this and the RFM is the lug. On the Yaiba we have a die-cast lug as opposed to the brass lug that you have on the RFM series. And there's also a lot less options on the Yaiba kit, whereas the RFM, they have a lot more size options, a lot more color options, and of course the brass lug, which is why that is more expensive than the Yaiba. So if you're happy with the way the Yaiba sounds, you're happy with the way it performs, this is an excellent way to save some money and get a professional level kit. The sizes on the Yaiba kit are 18 by 14, 12 by 8, and a 14 by 14 floor tom. The NeoVintage series that Canopus has is something they've been working on for a number of years to sort of harken back to the great American drums of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And the NeoVintage M1, this was sort of an answer to what Ludwig was doing in the 60s. Maple poplar shell with a rounded over edge. These have a familiar sound, but they have that Canopus feel. The sizes are 18 by 14, 12 by 8, and 14 by 14. Is there a particular kit that you liked over the others, or one that you did not like at all, or one that you just absolutely have to have? We want to know. Please leave your comments below. We would love to hear that feedback from you. The links to buy all of these drums and cymbals are right in the description below. And as always, thank you very much for the support, and we hope to see you soon.